Hello and welcome back to All Elite Spotlight. TNT here to go over with you the latest episode of AEW Collision on a night that featured two world title matches and also a returning former AEW Women's World Champion in Thunder Rosa. So let me know again down in the comments what you thought of tonight's show. If you thought it was a great continuation of the story for those who were featured, let me know down in the comments what you think of my show. And please remember to subscribe, like, and share for all of you who haven't done so already. So with that business out of the way, the first match tonight was a World Trios Championship. So right out of the gate, we start a Set Rodeo going against none other than The Demand, the team of Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, who are Taya Leone and Bishop Khan. So right off the bat, you see that Jet Set Rodeo, Hangman, Speedball, and Kevin Knight are all in matching gear. So not that Jet Speed are in cowboy gear, but that Hangman is matching Jet Speed. So still his typical type of cowboy getup, but in matching colors and patterns. So that was cool to see, because initially I thought that The Demand might be favored to beat Jet Set Rodeo, as it was their first ever title defense. And I thought maybe Hangman might just be too distracted and the team as a whole wasn't really focused on the Trios Championships themselves, whereas the Demand have been a pretty much well-oiled machine as of late. Now, after having seen the match in gear, I was like, well, hold on. Well, if they're that invested, then I suppose, guess what? There might be a successful title defense. And lo and behold, there was. And thanks to another thought that I had back on my preview show, if you check that out, I had the idea that Jack Perry still had unfinished business with the team of The Demand, specifically Ricochet. But we'll get to that in due time. Just overall, a good match, good opening match, solid trio work by the defending champions, and GOA looked impressive in the ring as well. I remember last week, Otto Leona tried to hit a moonsault from the apron, and it kind of landed on his head and was pretty dangerous. Whereas he had pulled off that maneuver in the past. I was curious to see if he would try it again this week, and it looks like he switched it up, and rather than doing that, he did a rolling senton off the apron onto the floor. So still an impressive move for a guy of his size. You know, he's just an overall really impressive wrestler, what with the size, presence, and ability. So him and Bishop Khan, they of course work together well. Ricochet doing his thing, you know, flashy, just all around good wrestler. And it was a solid match. It ended up coming down to where Ricochet countered the buckshot lariat by pulling the referee in front of him. And as he used that as a distraction, he was able to lay a hit on Hangman. But then Perry's music hit, surprise, and that caused a distraction, which ended up setting up Ricochet to get the buckshot lariat and go down for the 3 count and a successful title defense for Jet Set Rodeo. First title defense, first successful title defense. And I guess that will go ahead and set up some further drama for Perry and Ricochet. Although I would imagine he being Jack Perry, would need some backup to help, as Ricochet does have the Gates of Agony on his side. So solid opening match, really set the tone for the show and had the crowd definitely super engaged. From there, we had a quick backstage promo with the Rascals doing their thing, in a smoked out room, joking around, kidding around, and FTR comes in and interrupts them, starts mocking what they're doing, saying, "Oh, we wish you had won that trios match so that you could be challenging us instead of the Young Bucks challenging them." And basically what they ended up doing was doing a roundabout way of challenging them to a match. And the Rascals had the idea of saying, well, let's do an eliminator style match tonight. And FTR agreed, no problem. So that was set later on to happen in the show and ended up being the actual main event of the night. From there, we went to a tag team match. Speaking of the Young Bucks, they were going up against the Swirl, which is a team that they have shown on Collision a bit, but you'll more likely see them in Ring of Honor. And that's the team composed of Lee Johnson, Big Shot Lee Johnson, and Blake Christian, who I really like as a singles competitor. I think he's really the engine of that tag team, the Swirl, and he really pulls off some really smooth maneuvers going from in the ring to out the ring. I mean, he can hang in there. He's shown he can hang in there with anybody, be it singles or tag team. But the Swirl is a good tag team, so they matched up pretty well with the Bucks. Wasn't a terribly long match or anything like that. Pretty straightforward. The Young Bucks were doing their thing and had most of the control, but there were some opportunities where Lee Johnson and Blake Christian were able to shine a bit. And we got to see in the beginning of the match that the Young Bucks had their family ringside. So like the kids, the parents, and wives, I believe. I know at least Matt's wife was out there. Moving on from that, both teams got to shine a bit with their high-flying capabilities. In the end, it was Doomsday Device by the Young Bucks, followed by BTE Trigger on Blake, and a 3 count. And for what Shivani said was the 116th win for the Young Bucks. So quite a high win total for the team. And again, just a straightforward showcase tag team match, basically. From there, we go to another video package just highlighting this past Dynamite, particularly the MJF and Hangman Adam Page promo, where Hangman basically put his future on the line, saying that he will not challenge for the AEW World Title ever again in his life if he loses this title match against MJF. And of course, Hangman's looking to have it be a Texas Death Match, and we will find out MJF's decision on this coming Wednesday night. So, besides that recap, they showed that MJF actually went to a different promotion, the House of Glory, HOG, to defend the AEW World Title against Zilla Fatu. A defense that he was successful at. However, another AEW superstar showed up there by the name of Andrade. So he basically interfered. MJF was still able to prevail and defend his title successfully. However, they showed them backstage at the House of Glory event, and MJF was obviously letting Andrade hear it about being involved in this match and trying to cost him. That's when Andrade just reminded him that he has his eyes on the world title and basically is laying claim to a shot should MJF successfully defend against Hangman Adam Page at Revolution. After that, we moved on to the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship match between reigning champion Claudio Castagnoli of the Death Riders, who was going up against Josh Alexander, the Walking Weapon. Now, because it's for the CMLL World Title, the match was contested under CMLL rules, which means that they could each have basically a second. So someone in their corner. Claudio had Marina Shafir, and Josh Alexander, he chose to have Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk. So they did mention that this was Claudio's 85th day as champion, and this would be his 4th title defense. So along with the CMLL rules, the ring out count would go to 20 seconds instead of the traditional 10. And then Tony Khan, the owner, would present the title at the beginning of the match. So he was there holding it up before the match started. So this was a very physical match, technical as well, but really more than anything, physical and hard hitting. They really went back and forth, both exhibiting what makes each of them unique. So you got a lot of Claudio showing off his strength, feats of strength, and his European uppercuts. There was one specific moment where Claudio just basically manhandled Josh Alexander, just picking him up from a straight deadlift and muscling up the dead weight to put him from the floor up into a vertical suplex. And I know it may just sound if you're not watching it, like it was pretty basic, but watching it, it was pretty incredible. It was just showcasing Claudio's strength in a way that most wrestlers don't and can't. And Josh Alexander, he did his thing too. He throughout the match, he was picking the bar apart, which happened to be Claudio's knee, and just working it over. So while Claudio was able to overpower him a lot and just take over when he needed to with that power, like there was one moment where they had a chop contest back and forth, and Claudio definitely had the upper hand and won that one. Then you'd notice that when it went to the technical, Josh Alexander, he'd be picking that ankle, working that knee, and just being the walking weapon that he is. So really solid matchup for a world title defense. Ended up being where Lance and Shafir, they got up on the apron. They had a little face-off that distracted Claudio, which allowed Josh Alexander to get the upper hand for a moment. However, Claudio was able to do a quick counter in the corner, set Josh Alexander up for a big swing, and from there released him and put him into that Gotch-style neutralizer and got the 3 count. And still your CMLL World Heavyweight Champion, Claudio Castagnoli. So big win for the Death Riders there. And also seeing that the Death Riders are in a feud against the Don Callis family, that was a big win for them as well, because it definitely would have switched momentum over if the Don Callis family had taken a title away from the Death Riders, seeing as at Revolution, Konosuke Takeshita, he'll be facing Mox in that no time limit matchup for the Continental title as well. So from there, the announcers said that we'd be having a standby match, which have usually been reserved for like Brody King. That's happened a couple times in the past for him, where he'll come out against a local wrestler and basically demolish them in a quick match. And this standby match was with Megan Bayne. So she came out with Penelope Ford, and she was going up against Becca, hometown favorite there. They did note that Megan Bayne was 11-0 at Collision, and that she was still having some unfinished business with Willow. So it seems like she's still going to be focused on perhaps challenging for Willow's TBS championship in the future. The crowd was solidly behind Becca. There was some "Let's go Becca" chants, but reality-wise, Becca just went straight home, because that match was about maybe 2 minutes long, and it was just a straight beat down from beginning to end. No offense for Becca. She did get out of the way, a counter one move, but that was about the only moment that she got. Ended with a big running power bomb, the mega bomb, and a quick 3 count. And that was all she wrote. Megan Bayne moves on 12-0, I guess. From there, we went to a video package just highlighting Kyle Fletcher's win over Ciampa for the TNT title, and then also his successful title defense at Grand Slam Australia against Mark Briscoe. And right after the video package, they showed a backstage promo with Ciampa, and he was just wishing Briscoe the best, saying friend or foe, Ciampa would be there, happy to do either. And the main message was to Kyle Fletcher, saying that when he comes back from his little time off, celebration time off in Australia, he's going to want Sylvie back. So basically saying that he wants his rematch. He wants another shot at regaining that title. From there, we go to a trios match. This was added earlier today. So this trios match was Death Riders, composed of Moxley, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta. And they're going against the Don Callis family, composed of El Clone, Mark Davis, and Konosuke Takeshita. Marina Shafir did come out with the Death Riders, and there were no other Don Callis family members that came out with that team. So this was an opportunity to hopefully see the freshly shaved and bald Yuta, since he was going to have to actually wrestle. However, he took the hoodie off and showed that he was wearing one of those like knit hat, Scully type hats on his head. And the crowd was immediately chanting, "Take it off." But Yuta said, nah, he was telling the ref that this was part of his wrestling gear. I fully expected that at some point someone would yank it off his head or it would fall off. But he actually went the whole match, and shockingly, no reveal. So that's interesting, because I thought for sure that, they didn't reveal his head on Wednesday. So I figured surely by Collision he has a match, but still hidden. So we'll see when that happens. I'm sure it'll be a moment. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see if Dynamite will be when it gets to happen. So strong match here. Strong match. I really liked the chemistry between Pac and El Clone. I mean, they're both fast and really technical and impactful. And I think they were the highlight of that match for me. And we did get to see Mark Davis and Jon Moxley mix it up again. They had faced each other in that Continental title eliminator match that Moxley defeated Davis in, I believe, this past Wednesday. And it was just good to see Davis getting some more time to shine in the spotlight. And he, again, did not disappoint. Wheeler Yuta, he's good too. Again, disappointed that we didn't get the reveal today, but he did a good job in there as well. Other than that, there was an opportunity, a moment where Pac really got to shine as well, when he single-handedly took down like the entire Don Callis family team, just one after the other, and then taking them with a moonsault from the top to the floor outside. And it just reminded you how, wow, like in the beginning of AEW, this guy was a world title contender. Like, that's just where he was in the card. So even though he doesn't really break through into that section of the lineup or the show, I mean, he's just that talented. He hasn't lost a beat, and I like that he still has his moments and he still has his intensity, and that like his character and who he is isn't diminished, even though he's not like challenging for the world title or any title right now. So that's good. So the match, was a lot of back and forth. The Death Riders showed some really good ability to work together, just classic Death Rider trios work. The match ended up boiling down to where Mark Davis attempted to bring a chair into the ring. Marina Shafir hopped up, intercepted it, and was able to remove it. However, Yuta fell victim to Raging Fire by Konosuke, and there was a 3 count, and that was it. Afterwards, Moxley snuck back into the ring to face off against Konosuke. Then Konosuke's partners came back in. There was a quick scuffle. They got taken out by Yuta and Pac, and it ended up just being Mox and Konosuke in the ring. And Mox hit him with the paradigm shift and went out and, got to celebrate, I guess, a walk-off for the night. Even though they lost the match, he was still standing tall and able to send his message ahead of Revolution, which is still a few, 3 or so weeks away, almost a month away. Solid match. Nothing extreme there. Just furthering along the Konosuke and Jon Moxley storyline there. After that, we had a quick backstage promo with the Babes of Wrath, which was basically more or less just Willow talking about how they defended their titles 3 times in a week. So saying they faced off against Megabad at Grand Slam Australia on Saturday, then at House Rules that same week, and then Willow defending the TBS title in that 4-way at Dynamite. All successful defenses, but basically still saying that, Megabad is still in their sights because Megabad still isn't satisfied and keeps coming after them. So we'll see what happens, as they included Lena Cross in that whole Megabad team as well. So we'll see what happens down the line with those women's tag titles. From there, we had Thunder Rosa's return against Julia Hart. It's really good to see Thunder Rosa back. She looked really good in the ring, actually. I thought there might have been some rust since it had been almost a year since we'd seen her. But, she looked really good in there, in control, dominated a lot of the match. Her and Julia both worked very well together. Some great chemistry, no issues at all. So another solid match. And Thunder Rosa was another person with family at ringside. Now, this match came down to where Julia Hart went for her signature moonsault. It got counted with boots to the face, then Tijuana bomb, and 3 count. Thunder Rosa was your winner. And where the interesting part came in to further her storyline was Tekla appeared in the crowd, cutting a promo, I guess targeting Thunder Rosa and her choice to target her, Tekla, as someone to fight and go against, coming fresh off her injuries and coming back to the ring. So all of that also tried to serve as a distraction to Thunder Rosa, as Julia Hart, got up and was attempting to attack Thunder Rosa from behind, but Stat came down to the ring and cut that off before it could happen. So it looks like, even though Stat's not clear to fight, she is aligned with Thunder Rosa for the moment, and maybe giving Babes of Wrath some space. So it'll be interesting to see where exactly Statlander is going to fall in the whole women's division right now. Then we had our last couple promos back to back. We had a backstage promo with the Private Party, just basically saying they'll challenge anyone, anytime. They were backstage having a party with, there was Dalton Castle back there, the Outrunners, the Gun Club, and I noticed Bowen's sitting in a corner with a bottle, just looking sad and dejected. So interesting, but the most interesting part was the Bowens part, honestly. And there was a ringside promo with Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors challenging Orange Cassidy to a match some point down the line for his having defeated them this past Wednesday. And that led us to the main event of the night, Tag Team Championship Eliminator match between the Rascals, represented by Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz, against FTR with Stoke. During the match, Shivani did point out that Swerve was being fined $100,000 for what he did last Wednesday at Dynamite against Kenny Omega there. So, typical FTR match, dominance throughout, with some flurries of Rascals, high-flying, flashy offense. The match went 10 minutes. You got the 10-minute announcement of that time passing by. This is when the Bucks came out. That distracted Cash Wheeler, which allowed the Rascals to hit their finisher, Hot Fire, on Dax and get the 3 count, and which allowed the Rascals to win the Eliminator match and earn a title shot against FTR, which makes things interesting because Revolution is set for a tag team championship defense by FTR against the Young Bucks. So there's going to be some interesting happenings between now and then. Could the Rascals possibly pull out some stunning upset and steal the titles, or can Revolution end up being a triple threat match, or who knows? We'll see. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what you envision happening in the tag team division. And the night finally closed out after the match. The Gates of Agony came down the ramp, attacked the Young Bucks from behind, and this allowed Dax and Cash to get into an interaction with the Bucks family. They got into a shoving match, Dax specifically, with the Young Bucks' dad, and Stoke then threw salt into the Young Bucks' brother Malachi's face and the dad's face. Dax straight up pushed the Young Bucks' mom, which was crazy, and then they got the brother Malachi in the ring, hit him with the spike pile driver, and then got out of there fast. Perry did try to come down the ramp and save them, but he got caught as he was running down the ramp by Spirit Gun out of nowhere by Ricochet for payback for his distraction earlier in the night. So the match ended with the Young Bucks over their fallen brother, while FTR and Stoke went and celebrated, just enjoying themselves so much as they ridiculed the Young Bucks family as they left ringside. And yeah, that was it for the night. Then they just closed out, letting us know that Dynamite would feature Mox and El Clone in a match. Also Mark Davis versus Brody King. And then again, reminding us that MJF would be deciding on the stipulation. So I thought solid night, not the best Collision ever, but great match between Claudio and Josh Alexander. So my takeaways for tonight, I would say, is I'm looking forward to see if the Mega Sis, Megan Bayne, if she will still be challenging for that TBS title, because I think it's past time for her to assert herself and get some serious spotlight and show what she can do with a strong title run. Just be dominant I believe she really is. I think she can handle it. She's been there a while now, and I think she should be featured, and she could handle that. And also, it was good to see that Ciampa is not just going to take a back seat, wants to still pursue the TNT title. So I'm looking forward to that too, and seeing if he will be the first challenger or if Briscoe will be involved. Maybe him and Briscoe will have to face off one-on-one as the two most recent TNT champions to see who will go ahead and face Kyle Fletcher. Or maybe it'll be someone else entirely. So let me know what you all think about that. Let me know what you think about MJF, if we're going to have a Texas death match against Hangman, if he's going to decide that come Wednesday. And all the tag matches, they were great as well. Death Riders, trios match, good job there. And everything was good, and we got to see Megan Bain squash somebody, so I was happy. So with that being said, thank you again for tuning in. Please remember to send your comments in. I'd love to talk with you guys and see what you think and where you see things going. Also, please, if you haven't subscribed already, if you have, thank you. If not, please do like and share and all of that. And thank you again. You all have a great rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this. And I will talk to you again soon.